Hi, Susan. Good morning.
Good morning, Bayman. Let's give a couple of minutes for everyone to join.
Yeah, sure. I will go to take a cup of water, so we'll be back in 1 minute.
Yeah, sounds good. Take your time.
Hello, Susan. Hello, Feynman.
Hello, Bin. Let me pass the host to you. Bayman is out for a water break.
Susan, I can hear you. I'm not sure if something wrong with my laptop.
I can hear Susan.
Yeah.
Hi, folks.
Okay.
Hi, E.
Yeah, let me just type a message to Bin to let him know that we can hear him.
Okay, I can hear.
Okay, great. You can
Okay.
hear us?
Yes, good.
Cool. I've made you the host. Feel free to share a screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
Can you see my screen? Okay.
I can see it.
Yeah, let's wait until like 5. So okay, let's start. So firstly, for the announcement, we will have a new patch release this week, and we already have the draft release. So once we update the change log, I think we can cut the new release. So basically, it will include a fix to our publish workflow and a new feature, just a minor feature to the Helm chart, and also include a vulnerability fix. And for the discussion agenda, firstly, we should check the status check on the onboarding task.
Oh, hi, Bin. Just a minor feedback on the release notes.
Yeah.
Could we add the CEV ID?
Oh yeah, that's correct. Yeah, this is just the the auto-generated changelog. We will need to update it later.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding. Yeah, for the status check, I remember last week we have some items to do. The transfer domain. Do you have any update on Susan and Feynman?
Yeah, so I'll provide an update. The transfer domain, we created internal tickets.
Yes.
And it's been approved by internal because it's currently hosted internally. But I don't know if the information. So like Feynman clearly said, we want this information and this information. But on their email thread, it says, once something have been set up, let us know. So they didn't provide the requested information from the latest email thread. Feynman, is that the right summary?
Yeah, it's a totally internal process. We have to rely on the Microsoft Domain Manager team to help us finish the domain transfer. It's a internal dependency here. So I think the only thing we can do is to push them to help us to continue
So
the transfer.
yeah, Feynman. So on the thread, they said, once something has been created, let them know. So are we able to fulfill that request?
Maybe I cannot see the ticket details since I don't have the access to Domain Manager.
Yeah, so the request went to Sajay. So Sajay added both of us to the email thread, but maybe we can take a look later.
Okay. As this is an internal process. I think we can follow up and take actions after this meeting.
Sounds good. Yeah, so that's the status update for the domain transfer. Zoom account, I know Feynman created a ticket already. Feynman, is it possible to provide a link so then we can keep an eye on the status?
Yeah, actually there's a ticket link, but unfortunately, I think only existing CNCF maintainers can see this ticket. I assume only E and I can see the conversation in this service ticket, but I share a screenshot in our chat and also this ticket link.
Yeah.
So after they added Ratify maintainers to CNCF mailing list, I think all of us should be able to see and create service ticket.
Yeah.
The current status
right
of
now,
right
it's
now.
escalated.
Yeah, it's escalated to CNCF and pending for their response.
And for the governance item, we talked about it on Monday, Feynman, that the suggestion is for us to start with the governance, and since we already have one, this has no urgency. So there's no immediate action we need to take here.
I think so. And considering our current bandwidth, we can only handle maybe the top 3 priorities in the checklist, especially with external dependencies. So after we handle those top 2 priorities, we can continue to revisit the existing governance doc and see any further work we need to do for updating the governance guidance.
Thanks for the update, Feynman.
Yeah, thank you for following up. Okay, next one, the Ratify v2 design scope. So I created an issue and listed some like items that we can probably do in Ratify v2. So today but we don't have everyone here in the meeting, but we can do a quick review on these items and see if we can remove some of them, or maybe I miss some items in the list. So basically we will do, I divide all items into features, refactoring, and deprecations. So we first go through the features. I think in V2 we need to add some like parity features for CRI and the standalone service. So because currently our focus is on the Kubernetes service. And for the CRI and the standalone service, we don't have the exactly same functionalities as the Kubernetes service. So like the KMP and the KMP configuration in verifiers, we don't support that. And also for we also don't support the auth with the cloud providers. And also, I think in CI, we also need a new command to list all configured plugins, because in the Kubernetes cluster, we can like run some kubectl get command to get all the like verifiers or policies. But for the CI, we currently don't have any command to get all plugins. And also, it's the same to the standalone service. We need to have the same KMP and cloud providers support. And also probably we need to support dynamically configure our service. Because for Kubernetes service, we can like update the CR result CRs, but for the standalone service, it's initialized by a config.json. And if we want to update this config.json, we need to restart service. And one more feature is, I think we discussed it before, we want to support multiple auth providers in the Aura store. So currently we need to define different Aura stores with different auth providers, but we cannot define like multiple providers in one Aura store. And the last one is the CRD validating defaulting conversion webhook. So I feel currently we only have the basic support of the CRD webhook, and especially for the conversion. Like if we bump up the version, the conversion actually is not working, and so we can say it's completely like backward compatible. Well, yeah. So far, I just wonder if anyone have some like comments or feedback.
Hi, Bimi. I have one comment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking the overall goal of the Ratify V2, and also initially, I think we should focus on the quality part, right? The purpose is the I mean, based on the current issue, it seems the scope is very big, also including the features that currently we are not very clear about the scenarios yet, and also we even don't know whether they are a strong need in those area. So I'm thinking that
yes, that's true. So in this issue, at least I think at least a lot of like areas that we can probably like touch, but it does not mean that in our first PR or the first prototype PR we need to implement all of them. But I just want to bring them up so that we know. I just want to agree that for some like items, we will do it in our V2, maybe in like half a year or 1 year later. But because like for some features, if we want to support that in the future, but we didn't like design correctly when we do the V2 prototype, then probably it's another breaking change after, and then we need a V3. So that's what I want to avoid.
yeah, I understood that part. I just try to want to highlight to avoid over design, because some scenarios or features those are not clear yet. So we can considering, for example, for the CLI part,
Yeah.
we maybe during V2 design we can consider what we know for now, but try to avoid over design because it may not work even you want it to be. Yeah, because we are not clear about
Yeah.
the requirements yet.
Yes, that makes sense. So I think after the meeting, we will we will get the priority for those items. And for example, in the features, probably, yeah, just as you mentioned, I think the parity feature in CLI is important. So in the first V2 prototype, I will focus on this one and probably just skip the other 3 items.
I think from my side, I think the first priority would be the quality part. I mean, we will make the code and the design easy for other folks in the community to contribute, and also the testing coverage. I would say we can focus on this first. And also in the roadmap, I think I mentioned the attestations, right? And the attestations are also the feature that's quite important in near future. So, but it is not mentioned here. I think maybe during the V2 design, we can also considering the potential attestation support. But that also requires some proposal and further discussions. So
Yes. So for the attestation and other like plugin support, I feel that's more like about the feature, like adding a new feature, but it's not touching the fundamentals, like structure of the repo. So I didn't list all of them.
so that means the current design are good enough for attestations. And I forgot to mention the multi-arc images that we also touched it a bit last community meeting. Akash also mentioned. So yeah, I think from CLI part, as you listed this feature, under the features for the CLI part, it's as you mentioned, it's parity features, but it may not be the case because it's a different scenarios. So if we, I mean, the design focusing on the parity feature in CLR, I mean, it may not work. I mean, when we really start working on the CLR scenarios.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so my suggestion is that first of all, for the quality part, whether current code base is easy for contributors to contribute to code, and we have a good document for user to contribute. I mean, from development document point of view, and also we can improve the testing framework if need, and then we can considering the upcoming features, whether the current design or current code base is flexible for upcoming important features, for example, attestations and the multi-arc. And for the CRL, I think we can maybe we will consider it, but I mean, just do not over design for it because it is a bit far away. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with E here. I think we could track the refactoring and the fundamental pieces separately to the features that we want to introduce. The features are mostly, like the CLI features are mostly backward compatible. But when they're going forward, once we have V2, if we were to invest in a feature, we would think about does it does it make sense to add to V1? Does it make sense to only add to V2? And what are the technical limitations for the options? Yeah, we could list the features that's on the roadmap in a separate section, but for the V2 design, we could bring forward the refactoring deprecations and the repo changes.
Yeah,
Is that what you're suggesting, E?
Yeah, maybe like this way, in V1 we have all these existing features, right? With we want to do the V2 design, there should be some reason behind it. One could be the current code base is not easy for contributing. The design is not easy for testing, something like this. This is still improving the current code base with good quality. And also we will considering the growth, we will have new features. So V1, we have existing features, and with new features, whether the new design is easy to implement it. So something like this. So we can put some feature level related design a little bit low priority than improving the quality of the current code base.
Yeah, I also understand where Bin is coming from, because when you announce like, hey, Ratify have a V2, like people will say, oh, what are the new features that it comes with this V2? Like as an incentive to upgrade. But for us internally, we are, you know, throwing our baggage away from V1, hence we have a V2. But I think, yes, agreed with E here that we would talk about and align on the refactoring pieces, and then we'll pick which features make sense to come in the initial release.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think feature is also a part of V2, but it's just at this moment, we are not sure about that yet. And when I see the feature list here for the CLL, it's a bit far away from the roadmap. And I think the upcoming important features are the attestations and the multi-arc images.
Yeah,
Thanks
E,
for
I do want to align on the CLI specifically. I think we want to keep Ratify as flexible as we can. So it is the goal that with all the features going forward, that we want to make sure there's parity between Kubernetes and CLI. So we do think CLI is an important user scenario.
Yeah, that's true. But I just try to highlight emphasis to not over design for it.
Yeah.
Because the scenarios is not clear yet. But during the refactory, we should definitely consider it. If we find an easy way that when we implement it, a new feature, it will be very easy, feasible for both as a Kubernetes service or CLI, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Thanks, Bin.
Okay.
I would capture that in the notes. I've started capturing.
Yeah, I
Hey,
would
Fei-
second with his opinion on focusing on the refactoring for quality improvement. In terms of the refactoring purpose, I would also recommend that tell the reason that why we want to refactoring ABC, not just list the things ABC that we want to improve or refactoring. Maybe we can tell the current limitations and bottleneck here, especially cite some existing issues or design doc, make the scope clear, and makes the scopes clear would be much easier for people to understand why we want to refactor and why we want to improve our quality. The feature scope can be discussed after the refactoring scope, and objectives are clarified.
Yeah, Sharon, you have any question?
Yeah, I think basically, not most of them, but some of these things that we are discussing, they are very related to each other. Like if we are thinking about refactoring or adding a new feature, I'll just give you an example. With supporting auth for CLI, with cloud providers, like I'm working on a ticket right now that is basically a refactoring, but it actually provides authentication for different providers. So if we have these features in mind while we are thinking about refactoring, I think that's also beneficial.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. When we try to think about, I mean, from the feature point of view. So currently we are focusing on services for if in the future we want to implement to cover the CIL scenarios. If we do not do it earlier, we may end up V3, V4, right? So definitely we should consider that. But I just want to emphasize, try to not over design because the scenarios and also some other requirements are not clear yet. So I think we can try our best at this moment to cover for the potential new features. And also, I understood one of the intention is that to make a CLL better, right? And also try to avoid duplicate implementation later on once we want to move some existing feature to the CLL scenarios. I understood this part. I just want to emphasize not to over design for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the suggestion. So let's move to the refactoring part. So I currently listed 3 areas. The first one is the policy workflow. So currently we have config policy and the record policy, and I think the evaluation of the config policy and the record policy are coupled in the executor workflow. So one thing I want to do is to decouple them from the executor, and also I want to standardize the response and the verify format, the report format. So currently we have 2 formats, and one for the config policy, one for the record policy. So that I want to like uniform, and also for the config policy, because I remember when we implemented the record policy, we said we want to deprecate the config policy, but actually I feel customers still using the config policy, and the feedback is that the config policy is much easier than the record policy. So I feel we may not deprecate the config policy, but keep supporting that. So in that case, I'm thinking maybe we need to fix the limitations or bugs in our config policy. So in case like more and more people are using the config policy, but see those like limitations, and if they don't want to use the record policy. The second one is the cache refactoring. So the first one we actually we just discussed it in our Slack channel. So I remember some customers reporting that they want to use our H8 mode for a cluster with over 10,000 pods. So, but their feedback is that they don't want to use they don't want to deploy the Gatekeeper, Ratify, Dapper, and Redis together because there are too many components. It's difficult to like configure everything, and also it's possible that one of them, like for example, the Dapper like goes down, and then everything will be broken. And so one suggestion is to remove the dapper middleware. So the Ratify will directly access Redis. Also, we can actually for the HM mode, we can use either the in-memory cache or the Redis. But if we want to choose the Redis cache, then we probably need to remove the dapper support so that we can remove one component from the overall workflow. And the second one is how we share the cache among the main process and external plugins. Because for the Golang language, the external plugins are running in a different process than the main process. So I have 3 suggestions. So one is we don't share the cache. So the external plugins will be created with a new cache, and it will be like cleaned up after the plugin has been run. And the second one, we can use some IPC mechanism or using some mmap to consolidate our cache management. So hey Susan, please go ahead.
Oh, hi, Vivian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, make a suggestion at the end. Just for the design doc we want to label which one have breaking change from the customer side. So for example, the refactoring policy workflow to decouple from the executor, are there any customer impact?
For the decoupling, there is no impact to the customers, but it will be easier for the developers. But for the standardized the verified report format, it will have impact because there will be just one format and not the 2 formats for different policy, regular policy and community policy.
Yeah, got it. And the caching refactoring, because they're installing less components than before. For example, if we remove the Dapper dependency,
Yes.
it is a change, but it's not a breaking change because this is a preview feature in the previous release, right? So just a suggestion that when we prioritize which refactoring we need to do in the initial version of V2, especially we want to do this iteratively, we want to take these considerations, which are breaking, which are non-breaking, so then we can
Yes.
prioritize accordingly.
Yes, that's right. So basically, I will do the breaking change first, and because since it's already V2, we can do
Yeah.
we can do some breaking change, and after that, we will just do iterative refactoring with sets backward compatible.
Yeah, sounds good. And the sharing cache, does that introduce change from the customer scenario perspective?
For the I don't think so. It will have no change on the customer side, but it might have impact on the plugin developer side. Because
So
we might change the interface. So
yeah,
existing verify, for example, the verifies will not work for the Ratify V2.
got it. So then because we have a contract and implementing our public interface is a customer scenario, so it would be considered a breaking change.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and for the third one, maybe we just stop using cache in external plugins. So for this cache item, I will create another doc to elaborate all of them and list the content pros for each option. And the last one is reorganize our project structure. So one item is to move our external plugin implementation to a separate repo. So And currently we have everything like for the built-in and external plugins implementation in the Ratify repo. So it will add a lot of dependency in just one repo. If we can move some of them out of the repo, then the dependency will be cleaned up a little. And also we want to reorganize our repo to like separate the core framework and the CLI standalone service and the Kubernetes service. So it will be, I think it's not a big change to our like Ratify core workflow, but it will just reorganize the structure and it would make it cleaner for the developers to contribute. And yeah, last one for the deprecation, I just
Sorry,
list.
Binbin, just to check again, E and Feynman, do you have any feedback on the refactorings?
I think Benjamin also just mentioned, I would like to see the problem behind the refactoring as being, for example, you just explained for the config policy. For example, some users, they still want to use config policy, right? These are some rationale or the proof that for the action we are going to do. So I would suggest that for the refactoring, we can list the problem and the motivation for the refactoring and what will be the outcome. And this will also help us to prioritize the refactoring, the overall V2 design work items.
Oh yes, that's good call. So basically for this issue, I just list of them, but I will create separate, maybe not issues, I will just create separate like documentations for discussing each of them because especially for the cache refactoring, there was a long discussion like in the past maybe a few months. So I think it will require a separate like doc on this, and we may need different discussions around those items.
But that is about we want to do that, but before that we I think it's better that we will know which
Okay.
one we will do first. You mentioned the cache refactoring. I would suggest we do not do it right now with the document because we are not clear whether this should be the first one that we need to take care of for the V2 design. So my suggestion is you list all these work items. Those are good. Just add some motivation for why we need to do this and also the outcome. Or if we do it, then we can discuss again on the work items and also prioritize those work items, then make a iteration plan for the V2 design.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'll update the issue and probably we can review it offline or maybe in the next community meeting.
Yeah, I think once you update the issue, we can review it offline, then we can finalize it in the next meeting. Then
Yeah.
after that, I think we will have a prioritized list, right? And then we can split the work. And also, if needed, we can create documents, detailed documents to address it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, then move on to the deprecation section. So basically we want to, I just list out some of them. Probably I may miss some other items. So we want to deprecate the certificate store CRD and legacy call sign verifier, legacy license tracker verifier, and also for the name and type fields in all the plugins, because I think we are reference the wrong name and type fields. So those are the deprecation we will do in V2, and it is because the deprecation should be very straightforward. So and also we already have the announcement before for source deprecation, so I think it should be good. Okay, so yeah, we have gone through the issue. I will update the issue with why we want to like do the refactoring of the features. So then we can do offline check. And for next one, maybe we can go through the store one first, and then if we have time enough, we can do the V1.4 milestone review. And fifth one. Hey, Josh.
Hey. Yeah, this should be pretty quick. So I was looking at maybe even pull up the code for line 165.
Oh, let me.
Yeah.
Five. Okay.
Yeah, that should be good enough. So yeah, the question is to store the key, disabled keys in the KMP or not. So this change here adds the status for enabled disabled in there. And then so my thinking was with one line 65 there was just to wipe out the certificate that's stored in there. So I can remove that line, but then it leaves the previous entry with the public key or with the certificate still in the KMP. So one way is just to continue with this and wipe it out so there's at least an entry in the KMP for disabled, or because I don't know what value it has to have an entry in there that won't be used anywhere else. So when it's flattened, that will be excluded from the query to pass to the verifier. But then I would have to remove. So inside here, line 165 would have to become a remove statement. So remove, the key from the cache. Does that make sense? Or am I overthinking that?
So you mentioned you mentioned that we will not use this key.
Yeah, so the general idea is we wanted to bring in the ability to report the status and then also allow disabled certificates to be pulled back when, say you're going to pull 3 versions. We decided in a previous meeting that if there were 4 versions and but the first 3 had it disabled, so like say there's 3 versions, one's enabled, one's disabled, one's enabled. That would count as your 3 versions back. But disabled would be considered part of that because it's not technically removed from the upstream KMP. So we would bring that in and report in the status. However, for our purposes, there isn't much value in having a disabled certificate loaded into our KMP cache because it'll never be used. Essentially, what it'll do is say, ignore my certificate, it's blank. Take the versions that are enabled and then pass that to the verifier. It's more so to just keep track of the state and be in sync with the upstream. But if we don't have this line here that overwrites it and updates the map, then the cache will actually have, if there was an enabled version ever before it was disabled, which is likely the case, that would stay. We'd have to remove it if we detected that the status became disabled. Does that make sense?
Okay. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So we could add a helper or bring in some kind of function to remove that key from the cache whenever we detect it's disabled, instead of putting an empty entry in the cache.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I think whatever is easy way, so we can just follow that. Yeah, I think when I was looking to this line, I didn't consider the scenario you just mentioned. It was enabled before and disabled. Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we go back to. Okay, we can do a quick review on our.
So just to confirm, we would prefer that disabled certs not be stored in the cache and that we just remove?
Yeah, I will go with that way. Also, maybe we can also check offline with Akash.
Sure.
See,
Yep, I'll message him in the discussion thread.
yeah, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Oh, I need to connect to my VPN. It was disconnected. Okay. So firstly, for the we start for, do we want to set the due date today, or we can wait for next meeting?
Let's set a due date. We were previously mentioning mid of December.
Okay, so it's December, mid of December, maybe 13 or 20.
Let's aim for 13th because 20th it's on the holiday season for North
Okay.
America. But of course we will have a bit of room because for the Shanghai we don't get Christmas, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
We have a quick review, validate security boundaries for the resource data operations. Yeah, I think since Akash is not here, I can skip those items first. And for the notify user early if KMP does not exist. Hey, I feel we may not have the bandwidth on this issue in this milestone.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. Do you think I can move to the next milestone?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
I think for 1.4, the most important one is the replication checking with CIL
Yes.
support. And also, I think Josh is working on the history specific counts, right?
Yep.
Those two features.
Yep, the inversion. Yep.
Yeah, inversions.
This one, yeah, I think Junchen will not have bandwidth on that. He will work on some CIL items.
Yeah, actually, for the milestone, if you see on the right side, there are some 6 dots. You can actually move issues to the top, for example. With this, you can change the priority. Maybe we can, for example, move the CIL work to the top so that we know that the issues on the top will be the important one. And for the bottom issues, if we cannot complete it by the time of the release, it will not block the release. We can just simply move those issues to the later milestones.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Does this change the like stack ranking sort of score internally to the ticket?
I don't know.
Like I was just wondering if you refresh, would it be gone?
No, I
check
don't think so. Maybe Bingbing can track.
Oh, it's there. Oh, interesting feature.
Yeah, good to know about this feature. Thank you, E.
So that's for each milestone, we can put the most important work items issues on the top.
Yeah, let me move. Okay. So yeah, for the CRL, I checked with Junchen yesterday on the timeline. So basically, we can implement the feature and add a E2 test by the end of this week. But if there is anything that goes wrong, then we might need other resources to help on this feature. Okay, MP support for inversion. George, do you think this can be done in this milestone?
Yeah, due date December, I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you.
I've got most of
Thank
the logic figured out. Yeah, so I think, yeah, definitely.
Cool, cool.
Sorry, were you saying something? Didn't mean to cut
Oh
you
yeah,
off.
it's okay.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Josh. I mean the CLR support, why those two issues were marked charge. Maybe we should remove charge.
Yes, I think Junchen just created some yesterday, so it's not charged yet.
Okay, because we are aligned, it will be done in 1.4, right? And yeah.
And for the TSA refactor, I think it's a minor refactoring on the trust store types. So this one I discussed Junjun before. So if he has some bandwidth, maybe it may take, I remember, 2 or 3 days. So if he has bandwidth, so we can pick it up in this milestone. Otherwise, we can move it to the next milestone. And for architect issues, I will skip them for now. So update CLI config. Yeah, I think for this one, we probably need to move to next milestone. Term definition in the scope of refers those. Yeah, I will probably do this one. It's more like the doc update and the refactor all support to use AV identity. Hey, Sherman, are you working on this one?
Yes, I am working on that one. Just a quick update on it. Last week I had a chat with Akash and he asked me to refactor the code in 2 places. But then when I investigated it, I realized that one of them is not necessary because it uses MSAL library. That's one of the options that we have for authentication. The other option is AZ identity. Both of them are fine. They are not deprecated. So one is not necessary, but what we ended up deciding was that it's better to have only one library. It makes things easier in future. So I'm thinking about doing 2 PRs. One is to just get rid of the Go Autorest library. That's the old one. That's the deprecated one that's used in one place. But a separate PR just to refactor the code anywhere that is using MSAL and replace it with AZ identity.
Yeah, that
The
makes sense.
first one is not going to be difficult. I'm expecting it to finish it soon, but the second one probably needs some thinking. I may reach out to people once I have a clear idea how to do that.
Okay, gotcha. So we think it can be done in this milestone.
The first part, of course, but the second part, I'm not sure right now. The milestone is by mid-December, you said, right? I think it's doable.
Yes.
Yeah, it's doable.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And for next one. Okay, verify images across namespaces. Yeah, I think I may not have bandwidth on this one. same to the next one. So the next one is for the multi-tenancy. I remember we have 2 remaining items for the multi-tenancy support. If we move to 1.5. For the multi-tenancy one, I will keep it for now and remove it if I confirm I don't have time to mitigate timeout impact. Okay, I don't think this one will be picked up. Timeout impact. But I think I will consider this this one in our V2 design. And so next one, Akash. And Susan, Ratify support for day 2. Hey Susan, do you have bandwidth on this issue?
Yeah, this is like a documentation piece. It's assigned to Feynman and E for now.
Oh yeah.
At the moment, I think as long as we have good like CR documentation, because we are supporting the end versions of the certificate, right? So we are touching a little bit like, oh, you should configure the end version support, then we'll have the periodic fetch. So we do have some coverage there. So this is not like the highest priority, but I wonder maybe when we release the full support, maybe we could have like a blog that talk about more of these day 2 operations here.
Okay, so I'll keep it in the release.
Hey, Susan and Bingbing, just double confirm. Is that doc issue intended for user manual or is a design doc? If there's a user doc, I think we can transfer it to Ratify website repo.
Yeah, sounds good. I remember there's a transfer button, isn't it? Do you know where it is in the UI, Feynman?
Yeah, it's actually on the right side under the notification. Yeah, transfer issue. Can you see that?
To Ratify one. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah, unfortunately, I think our website repository doesn't have the milestones, right?
Yes.
So they're just like a big list. So they kind of just get lost right now. But yeah, at least it's good to have a list of things that we have in mind. So if customers run into issues, they can vote on them. So then they can get prioritized.
Yeah, I think we can create corresponding milestones in line with the Ratify. The code repo.
Yeah, I can create one in the Ratify one.
Maybe we can also use labels to label issue related to which Ratify milestone, and also even have the priority label, which one will be done first.
But if we just use the label, it's not easy for like list of them in like under one milestone. I think we are running out of time. So the last one, I remember we have discussion, it will be implemented maybe by the end of this year. So I will just keep it in this master. Yeah, okay, everything is discussed. Yes, thank everyone.
Thank you, Bin Bin.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.